Hi, it's Julie here at the Lebanon Public Library, and I am here to do a virtual craft classroom. Today our class will be on our beeswax food wraps. I wanted to go over the kit that we will have here at the library for you to pick up. If you haven't already picked one up, stop by and grab one. If you do have your kit, you're going to find that it will contain a sheet of information on how to do all the steps to make your beeswax wraps, as well as 6 to 7 tablespoons of beeswax. You'll probably have some of this left over, so go right ahead and make yourself some additional food wraps if you'd like. And you'll also receive 2 sheets of cute fabric. So you'll have an 8x8, which will be great for small jars and fruits and vegetables. And then a larger 12x12 that you can use for large bowls or to wrap sandwiches. So that is what's in your kit, as well as 2 pieces of parchment paper, which we'll use when we're melting the wax. So if you haven't grabbed a kit, definitely stop by the library and grab one if we still have some available. And if you have your kit, let's get started and make some beeswax food wraps. All right, welcome back. Let's get started on the steps to make our beeswax food wraps. The first thing you're going to need is a protective surface. So I didn't have an ironing board here at work, so I've placed a towel on the table, and I found myself a piece of scrap particle board. You could use your ironing board and a towel and maybe like a cookie sheet, and then you could maybe buy a cheap cookie sheet and then reuse that cookie sheet just for this project if you intend on making some more. So I've got my protective surface set up. You're going to want to have your iron ready to go. I have my setting on linen and no steam. So turn off the steam. And I apologize now, this is a dying iron, and so it's gonna beep and be angry during this video. So ignore the iron. It's very needy, let's just say that. And so to get started, you're gonna put your board down, your towel, 1 piece of parchment paper. On top of that parchment paper, you're going to choose one of your pieces of fabric. Then you're going to add your beeswax, and I'm just going to do a heaping tablespoon, and I'm going to place that right in the middle. And then you're just going to disperse the wax throughout the fabric and try to get to the edges as much as you can. It doesn't have to be on here thick because these little pellets are going to melt, and so they will spread out as they melt. So it doesn't have to be just jammed packed with the wax. So I'm spreading that out. And if you find that when you're finished that you didn't get a spot very well, just add a few more little pieces of the wax and start the process over again. And it's a super easy, forgiving craft, so you'll find yourself finding that you can make a lot of these in a short amount of time. So there, so it looks like I got my wax pretty well dispersed. So, and you can find these wax pellets. This one is a 5-pound bag, and I think it cost me about $15. And I made 25 kits with it, with 6 to 7 tablespoons per kit. So if you got something big like this and you wanted to go total beeswax food wrap, you totally could. Super economical, will save you some money in the end, and it will get rid of all that plastic that we tend to use in our kitchen. The plastic's there for certain reasons, but these can also be a good supplement, so we're not going through plastic wrap constantly. So anyway, so I've got my fabric spread out, or my wax pellets spread out. I'm going to take my second sheet of parchment paper and put it over the top like so. Now remember, your iron is hot, so please use caution. Don't put your hands, you don't need your hands to do anything while you are ironing the wax. To start, just place your iron on top. Don't move it around like you would if you were ironing a piece of clothing. And just press down and move it around and just press. And this is gonna start the wax from melting. And see, look at how dramatic my iron is, it's crazy. So I'm just going to keep doing this, and you can see through the parchment paper when things are starting to melt. And once everything looks pretty melty, that's when you can start moving your iron slowly around, and that's going to disperse the wax throughout your piece of fabric. And you can kind of tell on the fabric where things are light. That is where the wax is not there yet, and it's not harming my iron at all. So if you were concerned about this, another way you can do this is by placing it in a 350-degree oven and just keep a good eye on it, and the wax pellets will melt that way. I think it's a little bit of a more labor intensive process, because then you have to go and spread the wax and then put it back in. The iron is such a quicker, easier process that's the one I'm demonstrating today. And most of us have irons, so I thought, let's go for it with the iron. So I'm looking, and I don't see very many light spots anymore on my fabric. Again, my iron is in perfect condition, even though it likes to talk to me today. So now I'm going to lift up my top piece of parchment paper, and you'll see that there's wax on it, and that's awesome, because if you're making a whole bunch, that wax is just going to go back on your next project. Now, I do give you some caution. It is a little warm, so you'll want to be careful. You don't want to burn your fingers, but I'm able to pick up the corner, and it's not feeling hot to me at all. And then you just want to give it a little bit of a back and forth, you know, like a piece of laundry out in the sunshine, blowing in the wind, until that gets, it feels pretty cool and the wax looks like it's set. Then you're gonna set these aside, let them cool completely for a couple hours before you want to use them on your, vegetables, bowls. If you want to add a decorative element to it, you can then take some pinking shears and just cut the edges so that they look super decorative and cute. And it's much easier to do this when the wax is on the fabric than not. You know how pinking shears are. They have a mind of their own, so they like to not cut very straight. But with the wax on it, it's awesome. It cuts really nicely, and that just kind of cutes them up a bit. But it's not a must do. But anyway, there's one that I've done, and I've cut the edges now that it's cool. And then I'll give you a demonstration, but here's a couple that I've already made, and you can see how nicely they sit on top of jars and how nicely they sit on top of bowls, just like you would have if you had plastic wrap. Here, let's take this one off, and then you just do this. And then let's try this one. I just made this one, and they're self-adhesive, so if you put your hands on it, it warms the wax a little bit, which helps it stick to itself. And there we go. We've got a beeswax wrap, freshly made, right on top of this jar. Now, here's a little bit of care and cleaning instruction. You're going to want to wash these with cold water and a mild dish detergent, and then just line dry. You can store these in a drawer. You can, maybe not a drawer next to the dishwasher, because those tend to be a little bit warm. And then, or on the countertop, so that they're there and available, and you can just grab them as you need them, put them in a cute little basket or something. Do not use them with hot food, because obviously they're wax, so the wax will start melting. If you put this on a hot bowl of chili, let the chili cool down, then you can go ahead and put this right on top. The only thing these are not good to be used for is raw proteins. So don't wrap up a steak, hamburger, chicken, pork, seafood. There's just too much bacteria on those items, and that's not safe. These are definitely for more like a raw vegetable. So let's say you have half a lemon, put that lemon on there, put it in the fridge. The larger ones in your kit, the 12 by 12, work fantastic for a sandwich. And again, once you're done, give them a wash with mild cold water and soap, and that will work well. They last about 6 months. If they start losing their adhesive, you can just re-iron them to reactivate, or even add just a little tiny bit more sprinkle of the wax, and then iron it up and repeat the process, and they're good as new again. so they last a long time. And yeah, so there you go. You've got your beeswax food wraps. Make a bunch. I hope you enjoyed this process, and look forward to more take and makes. We'll be offering them up as much as we can. And yeah, we enjoy bringing these things to you. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll chat soon. Bye.